really excited about and interested to get involved in. We've tried as much as possible to keep you involved, but the things are moving apace. So Emma's going to bring us up to speed on the background to it, what the plans are, and how you might get involved going forward. So I am now going to hand over to Emma.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you all today. I'm the programme manager for Railway 200, sat within the Great British Railways transition team, but very much working across all of the rail industry to celebrate this anniversary. I'm just going to now attempt to share my screen so we can talk to some slides. Can everyone see that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great, Emma.
Brilliant. Right, well, I'll get underway then. Welcome to Railway 200. So what is it? What is it all about? It's the ways we're sort of talking about it, and the way that the team up in Stockton Darling are talking about it is very much the anniversary of a journey that changed the world. It gives us an opportunity to bring the sector and the nation together to celebrate the railway in its proud pedigree, and sort of spell out the future of the railway and inspire the next generation to consider a career in rail. As I mentioned, it's a cross-industry partnership with lots and lots of different organisations involved, and our ambition is that it will be a year-long partnership-led campaign to celebrate that 200-year moment. Starting in January, although we are building now, so now's not too soon to start building that awareness. We want to, through the partnership approach, have a wide variety of events, activities, initiatives that really celebrate rail, both past and present and future. And this sort of partnership-led approach will provide a framework to support local activity across the UK. We'll be delivering a few big ticket items nationally, but really it's about the partners and the work that they would like to do and how they see this as a great opportunity that then delivers those sort of local events that then all roll up together to create a year-long programme, much like you see the way the coronation or those sort of big moments work, is that how then local groups and local organisations can use that themselves. And that's very much kind of the approach we're taking. It's not prescriptive, other than us talking about some of the themes that are important to us, and really a moment to sort of celebrate rail and what that means to organisations and communities, etc. So a real sort of wonderful opportunity to use that anniversary for yourself. You will see that we got underway quite quickly with getting ourselves a brand, and that's one of the things that, you know, that as a national umbrella we've done to sort of unite all of that, unite all the work and give it that kind of identity and that sort of mark. And in evolving and thinking of this, the phrase sort of forever forward is what sort of inspired that idea that rail connects people and places, and has done and will do, and that sort of double arrows moving through the 200 sort of represents that. With that is available for everyone to use, although it's been trademarked so we can protect it when it comes to merchandise and commercial things. It's there and available for everyone to use. It's a partnership logo. The more people that use it, it really sort of gives some sort of you know, identity to it and real sort of momentum, and that is available. The slides, I should say, will all be shared afterwards, so you can have that with the links into where that all is. So that's kind of how we're visually presenting the anniversary. You might want to just I thought I'd better, you know, backtrack a bit and say, well, where did this all start? How did this all begin? And really it was something that came from Lord Hendy back in 2022, recognised this was coming and said we need to do something about this as an industry. This is a great opportunity for us. So we got together some sort of key stakeholders from the outset, obviously engaged with Sarah now for quite a few years now on this from the outset, and really sort of gathered our minds together about how to use this strategically. A celebration's great, but let's have a purpose behind it. So we sort of did some stakeholder research and said what could be the great opportunity here, how do we use this strategically? And what sang through really was talking about the value of the railway, but also the importance in the future, and young people and careers and inspiring next generation. I'll come on to those themes in a bit, but that's kind of the thinking, and we pulled that all together in a proposal that we sent off to the DFT to say, we're going to do this. Is this all right? Do we have your support? Which we have, which we've got, and at our launch event back in November last year, the rail minister was there as well. So we have that support, which is great. And since then, I'm sort of set up now as a program team, and we're sort of working hard to get sort of plans in place and do activities like this, reaching out to partners and organisations, and really getting a sense of how the industry and how people want to use this. So that's kind of how we began. So how will it all work then? Well, the idea, like I said, is that Railway 200 becomes that umbrella, that sort of national identity for the plan, and everyone's sort of work sort of fits underneath that. So you'll have the national programme, which I'm leading, which has got a few key items, which I'll explain what those are. But then it's out to our sort of partners and networks in the rail industry to do what they would like to do. We're engaging with cultural and tourism organisations. It's a fantastic opportunity for this to be sort of destination marketing, a great way to get tourism in and support local economies. We've engaged with all of the heritage railways, and they're considering how they can use this to celebrate the anniversary. As I mentioned, up in Stockton and Darlington, they have a 9-month festival that they're planning and working on at the moment. So the spotlight really shifts to the northeast and how they celebrating that journey. And then there's international opportunities as well that we're looking at with different organisations and networks, and obviously the inbound tourism from those international markets. So we're really trying to come at this from every angle as to how we can sort of really make the most of it and build a really exciting year to celebrate everything the railway has done and will do. So what's in that national programme then, Emma? Well, as I said, we've looked at sort of 4 key pillars to really sort of theme our work, and this is that sort of framework and guide that partners can use. So there's some opportunities within culture, heritage and tourism there, and we've been doing a lot of work with the DCMS and their ALBs, looking at actually what that means for them and how they can support that. I've everyone from historic ships to historic England. Everyone's got a connection to the railway and a story that they would like to tell. We want as many storytellers as possible, bringing that 200 years, narrative alive. So we're working with those organisations and inspiring them to do their own activity underneath the Railway 200 banner. And we've had brilliant response from Visit England. I know you have tourism within the Community Rail Network, but they're looking at this again from that international tourism piece as well. So hopefully, that we'll be getting some good support and exposure and benefits from that. Celebrating railway people is another theme for us. That's everyone within the railway family, from past employees to volunteers, anyone that makes up that. So maybe, that's a great theme to celebrate everyone that works within the railway and all the different things they do. We want to bring that through in our communications and what we were putting out. But also that's an opportunity for you to celebrate your people. And I know I've spoken to Sarah about the awards that you do and other opportunities like that. Then education skills, that's really where we see the legacy of the programme is really inspiring that next generation, really sort of showcasing all the great opportunities that there are for a career in rail, but also to volunteer in rail. And it's an opportunity to talk about that. It gives us a hook to talk about all the great things that we want to. So education skills is a key sort of theme for our communications. I'll come on to talk about the exhibition train, but that really supports that work stream because it is targeting young people and families, all about careers and STEM and inspiring them about the railway. We're going to be doing some work to try and work with brands outside of rail to really reach those younger audiences. My dream would be to do something with Lego and Mattel, and we're working at what that looks like and how we deliver that. And then there's other partnership activity that you would expect, you know, working with the Big Bang and a more sort of career specific activity. But that's sort of, again, that's what we're driving at sort of that national level, are those sort of big items. And then there's the opportunity to talk about innovation and technology in the future, which the rail industry today is really really wants to talk about. So that again will be a theme for our marketing communications, and really sort of painting the picture that, you know, rail is an innovative technology. So we can be using that opportunity. And one of the other pieces of work that falls under that we're developing at the moment is the idea of a Railway 200 app, where anyone can discover the past, present and future of the railway, everything from technology to heritage to engineering, on a geolocated app. So if you're anywhere on the network, information about your local area in terms of rail related content will come available. And again, opportunities for content and input into that, we can sort of get learn more about that and how to get involved in that. So that's kind of a really high level of some of the activity that's sort of my responsibility for delivering under this, what that looks like. And then, so what does that look like for the next 6 months? What am I going to see? What's going to happen? Well, really from April is when we're sort of turning stuff on. That means our social media, our website will be developed more. At the moment, it's just a landing page. So really, we're trying to sort of build that momentum from April, really looking at that more business to business market. So partners at the moment, recruiting partners, understanding plans and really getting more people involved and engaged and thinking about what they can do. And that moves really from that point to September, which is a year to go till the actual anniversary date. But appreciate we're a year-long campaign from January, so it's not really a year to go. But in partnership with Stockton and Darlington, we'll be doing a big media event, really signalling our plans in it, and what's going to happen and when, and confirming everything's sort of working to that point at the moment. So it's a good milestone to have in your mind that, you know, from September it'd be good to sort of really get be able to sort of start talking about plans and activities. And our website, when it in its full version, will have an interactive map where every partners can upload their information, again looking at how the coronation worked, so anyone can search their local area to find out what's going on. So it gives public information but supports our partners by giving them a national platform to promote what they do. So that will be happening. I thought it would probably be useful to do a little bit about the exhibition tray. We've been very cautious not to talk very publicly about this, because you appreciate there's a lot of work that needs to go into this. And September will be when we want to be talking more publicly about, you know, when it will start, where it will go, and there's a lot of work behind that. Essentially, it's being developed in partnership with the National Railway Museum, and we hope that it will be a really fantastic experience that is been taking the railway experience to sort of new and younger audiences. It will be an exhibition that looks about the past, present and future of rail, but very importantly with sort of hands-on activity and a careers element to ensure that it's a really excellent experience. The ambition is for it to operate for a year around the network. That's England, Scotland and Wales. And it will sort of launch sort of midway through 25 and carry on for a year. And we're looking at where that will go. And we're hoping it can visit up to 60 locations. That's including stations and locations connected to the main line. What will it look like? It will be 4 carriages. I bought the carriages. I have them in my possession, and we're currently looking at what that design looks like at the moment. But there'll be 4 carriages that make up the exhibition. One will be about railway firsts. That's very much looking at innovation and the history of rail over 200 years. We're taking the One New Wonder Lab at the Science Museum and customising it for the carriage. So there'll be hands-on STEM-based experiences for children. And then there'll be sort of a careers-led sort of coach which is a nice, comfortable environment with interactive games and very much led by sort of STEM ambassadors, delivering those sort of conversations about hidden roles in rail and what's it like to work in rail or volunteer in rail. So a real sort of opportunity for that engagement. And then the final carriage will be sort of shop and admin and storage and that sort of stuff. So when we're working really hard at what that route looks like, how do we coordinate it? How do we involve local organisations in those decisions and things like that? So you will be hearing more on that when we're ready and we've got a bit of a plan in place. But that's kind of the sort of intention with it all. And we can channel updates and things like that through to Sarah for the teams here. And like I said, we're expecting to make a public announcement in September, but we'll obviously be informing and talking to our partners well before that anyway. So that's sort of a bit of a where we're at with the exhibition train at the moment. And then we've been doing a lot of work talking to train operating companies as well. I know that many of you have relationships with them, and I thought it'd be quite useful to let you know how we're talking to them and what we know is happening. Many actually have appointed a Railway 200 lead. The logos that you see on the screen are train operating companies that we've been engaging with. There's obviously more, but that's where we've got started, and we'll be bringing them together as a group. Many have got quite good plans already, and I think I'd just say keep the Railway 200 conversation going in those meetings that you have, and discover talk about plans. What are they doing? How can you get involved? How can you really, what locally can you do and how you can get involved and support? So I think it is by looking at all your relationships locally, everyone will probably be doing something. How can you all work together to really sort of get involved and be part of it? So that's kind of a bit about the wider program, and that sort of thing. So that's great, but what does that mean for me? It's a great opportunity for everyone to sort of get involved and tell your story about how the railway has meant for your local area and the story behind that. Telling that story. Like I said, we want lots of storytellers. There's so many different ways to sort of position this. We can't do it all ourselves. It'd be great to have our partners working on that as well. Like I said, we're creating that national brand, that national platform, that ability to promote and talk about everything that's going on through all our channels. And with that, we'd love to, bring all your partnerships through in that and talk about, your people and your local stories and things like that. There's no requirements or for what you do. There's no brief. There's no things for me to sort of say you must do this, that, and the other. It might be as simple as you sort of repackaging existing things you do using our logo, looking at what you might like to do in your own sort of activities, or putting on your own events. It could be as simple or as small or as large as you want. And we're really sort of encouraging everyone to start thinking about how they can use this. So some final thoughts on sort of getting those sort of, juices flowing is, this is just pose some sort of questions there. So before start making plans, could you do something, will the activity create memorable local stories and celebrate local people? That's quite a good sort of question to ask yourselves. Does the activity have impact and benefit for your local communities beyond 25? Obviously, as a group, that's so important to what you do. So that's kind of ingrained, I'd imagine, in everything, in the way you think. How does this activity engage with sort of new audiences, or how can you create new partnerships or local relationships? Again, thinking of that broader story about how the railways changed the way we live, culturally. There could be some new relationships that you could sort of build and form for that. I don't know how you work with the heritage railways or any local museums, but I think there could be lots of people that might want to come together to do something on this. And who can you work with that might help you? Again, looking at how other local groups that work with young people, etc. I know you do already, but it's an opportunity to spread that out a bit more. and other sort of hooks and things you could use as moments, you know, International Women's Day, Careers Week. You probably already do this anyway, but there's lots of other hooks throughout the years you might be able throughout the year you might be able to use. And then I thought, you know, what can you do now? How can you sort of move this forward? We will have a newsletter. You can sign up to that on our website. So please do that. That's a way of keeping up to date with a direct channel from the programme. We will have a news feed on our website. We'd love to hear your stories, even if it's things that you're planning or, you know, that you're getting together to have these discussions. Any kind of ways in which we can demonstrate how people are starting to think and use this to inspire others would be great. We have a form in order to collect those stories, and I can work with Sarah on how the best way is that we share that with you, so we get that in a standard way. Again, if you're planning about events, there will be that functionality for us to publicise that on our website. So again, go to our website and there will be a form on that site from April in order for you to tell us about that. And as we're switching our channels on, follow us on LinkedIn. You again see what the information we're putting out there and start to use that and join in the conversation about it. So I think that's probably enough from me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay. I hope that all made sense. I know it's quite a lot to get through, and I didn't want to sort of bog you down with too much detail. Like I said, I can share all those slides with you afterwards. So Sarah, is that okay?
Yeah, that's great, Emma. Thank you. So it's over to, I mean, it's very exciting. I remember when Emma and I very first talked about this many moons ago, and it seems so far away. And I'm thinking, why am I talking to this lady now? It's years away, and it's already, you know, upon us. And hopefully we will get that real sense of national momentum like we did around the Olympics or other big, I always think of big sporting occasions, and if we can play our part in helping build that momentum, I think that's great. And I know you've probably got lots of questions, so over to you with any questions. So I'm going to look as to who I've got first. I'm just trying to look. So Felicity, you're first on mine that's come up.
Hello, thank you so much. Thanks, Emma. We've been thinking about this for a long time because we're Bishop Line, part of the original Stockton and Darlington Railway. So I know I've seen your face before and you've seen mine.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not new in our to-do list as such, but thank you for presenting it like this because it's really helpful. Especially where we are, you can just think, oh my goodness, it's such a big thing. Where do we start? And to be honest, that's what I've been feeling like. We've got the Stockton and Darlington board set up, so we're constantly thinking about it. But in terms of tactically, what can we be doing and how can we hook things on? This has been so useful. I just had a couple of questions, which I'm sure that you probably would be getting to anyway, or we'll share at another date. But technicalities of things like using the logo and using links to the website. If we're creating things that are going to have that Railway 200 logo on them or a link to the Railway 200 website, have you got a date that you're going to be switching them off? Or is it kind of going to carry on for infinity that this website will exist? Or, you know, is there a date that you're going to stop using the logo from?
The logo, it hasn't got an end date on it. You can use it now and on forever. And you know, there has been talk of you know, we know that the Liverpool to Manchester in 2030 they've got their 200 years, so hopefully it's something that can live on as many other railways and areas celebrate 200 years. In terms of the website, obviously it won't run forever. I don't know yet what the legacy plan is for it. Hopefully it will get archived at some point, but we'll have to. I don't know the honest answer to that yet. When we will switch it off, I want to, or how it lives on. But we can let people know what that looks like nearer the time.
Great. And in terms of using the logo, are there going to be brand guidelines, or are we kind of free to use it? We want to.
We have brand guidelines. The link in the pack, there's 2 links in the pack. They'll be available on our website from April. But if you want them before then, there's a link to the Network Rail campaign site, and the brand guidelines and the logo are on there as well, and sets out really clearly how to use it.
Thank you. And then just finally, in terms of using that logo, we've obviously got our own logo. We've got the Stockton and Darlington logo, which we're going to be using. Is it kind of going to be seen that there'll be a hierarchy, that Rail 200 will be the first one, or are we allowed to start with our logo? Is that going to be detailed in those brand guidelines?
It does set out it, because it's a partner logo. There's lots of ways in which to use it and sort of partner lockups and that, but it's not really a hierarchical thing, really. It's to use alongside it, so that should be fine.
You. Sorry for very, very technical questions.
It's all right, but these are the important things. So it's always the basics that are really important, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks.
Thanks, Felicity. And I think the biggest thing for me with it is that, and I think this is what Emma's been driving at, is it can be whatever you want it to be, and that's really important. This is just something that we can hang off, so you and badge it as you want. So I think it's quite relaxed in that sense, because I absolutely know where you're driving from, Felicity. People are so precious about the logos and if it's stretched or if it's this. So, but I think there is a more relaxed approach in that it can be whatever we want it to be. So I've got a few more hands. So I'm going to ask Mike, is it next, please?
Yeah, okay. Hi, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm with the Mid Cheshire Rail Partnership. I think I probably know the answer to this already. I don't suppose there's any funding available, is there?
No, I'm tasked myself with going out and getting corporate partners and sponsorship in order to deliver elements of the programme. So sadly not, no. We did ask the DFT for some money, but they said no.
Why am I surprised? Yeah, okay. No, we might be able to tap some at our end. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks, Mike. Paul Bromley.
Hi there. Yeah, Paul Bromley from South East CLP. Also involved in our local heritage railway and part of the visitor economy as well. So there's lots of connections we already have. Thanks very much for the presentation, Emma. You've talked about sort of building that momentum to the sort of big event, but I was slightly confused because we've obviously got the 27th of September 2025 as the sort of key date, but then you said the exhibition train is going to run from the middle of 25 for a year. So yes. I don't know what we're actually sort of targeting our resources on, or whether we should do it for the whole of 2025. And the other question is, when you're working on the itinerary for the exhibition train, are local CLPs being consulted? Because we obviously have lots of places on all our patches that have railway history and railway connections, and we'd really love to work with you and work with partners to try and get the exhibition train to some of our local stations or local areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first question is in the main programme will be from January to December 25. The train will run on a bit beyond that, just because we want it to run for a year, and we won't be able to start it in January. So I think most of that focus and the attention and the relevance will be throughout 2025. In terms of the route planning for the exhibition train, I fully appreciate that, you know, the local angle on this is really important, and we're trying to working with Network Rail, trying to understand the best way to plan those local journeys and how we actually do that. It will all come down to how many places it can visit based on how much a move costs. It will be, you know, I'd love to send it everywhere, but the reality is it can't. We want it to go into as many areas as possible, particularly areas that wouldn't normally benefit from this type of activity. And, you know, I'm working hard to get to a place where actually we could say to a particular area, the train can be in your area for X amount of time, and then locally it can be looked at as where the best places to go. So everywhere from freight depots through to heritage railways. We're not quite there yet on that coordination piece and how we get the right answers. There's lots of things in the mix at the moment. But for me, the way I would like to see it working is that it is sort of local decisions or local input into that. We just need to get to the place where we can manage that, and we've got the right way of doing it. That's where, you know, I think the direction that should go. But again, we will be able to engage, and we hear everyone. We know that is there, and there is that appetite. So it's front and centre in how we're moving this forward.
Sarah, can I add to Emma's piece there? Mike Lamport, I'm on Emma's team on Railway 200 to help Mike there. The individual train operating companies have set up internal working groups to manage Railway 200 across their patches. So it shouldn't be long now before they reach out to you to either meet with you or discuss this with you, and that will include where the exhibition train might be able to go on their patch. I do know particularly that Southeastern has a group, because I've met with them, the internal group led by Elliot Waters, who you may know. Elliot Waters at Southeastern Railway is leading that particular group. But I think you'll find, I'm also talking with Southwestern Railway, so they have also set up an internal group. So I think you'll find that within days and weeks, you will be contacted either through your normal channels or especially by your train operating companies that you work with to talk Railway 200. I hope that helps.
Thanks, Mike. And then seamlessly going on to Fiona now, which is your patch of the world, isn't it, that we've just talked reference. So
it is indeed. One of the key things to make the railway train successful, I think, is having existing contacts with schools. So we run a very extensive education programme as it is, working with over 90 schools in the area and over 3,000 school pupils. So that's our offer, is that we can sort of organise that reasonably quickly.
And that's brilliant. I think why that local delivery model is so important, because you hold the relationships, you know, those, how do you get visitors safely, how do we engage with schools locally who have the existing relationships, and that, you know, that's, and I see that as being, you know, one of the, you know, key things that local group and local partnership can do. So it's just a case of us getting to that point where we can sort of tackle the train as it comes to an area as in a local delivery type manner, and all of that will become clear, and all of that will happen. It's just taking a bit of time to get there.
thanks, Fiona. Thanks, Emma. Is there any other questions? I can't see any other hands raised, but am I missing any? Alice and Aaron? Oh, Alan, you've.
Hi, just ready to introduce myself. I'm Alan Hyde. I'm leading on the marketing and communications for Railway 200, working with Emma, but used to work in the railways some years ago on the East Coast Main Line. If I could just plant, as it were, one thought, given that I know you work very closely with the station adopters under the CRP scheme, it would be great if, as part of the planting programme for next year, the Railway 200 sort of logo in some way could feature in station gardens as appropriate. That would be a really good sort of branding opportunity to bring the stations to life in the Railway 200 context. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan. Fiona, have you got another question, or is that an historical hand? You have. Over to you, Fiona.
Yes, it was about the partnership with the National Railway Museum. I had the pleasure of visiting it just the other a couple of weeks ago on Cross Country Excellent Community Rail Conference, and I was discussing about, well, it's great that the National Railway Museum is in York, beautiful place, but how can we get people there to make use of that wonderful new development? But secondly, how can we get people from the National Railway Museum to come out? So, for example, behind me, you should never go to the York Railway Museum with your birthday money burning a hole in your pocket, because I've got some wonderful art there, which is very appropriate for our region. And one of the things is that there's a huge public interest in the history, but also some of the more modern aspects and design and what have you. So it's about, yeah, let's celebrate York and Darlington and Liverpool when that time comes around as well. But we need people to come out to the regions as well, I think. So just to make that point and to say buy posters, they're lovely.
Thank you, Fiona. Have we got any other questions?
We've got just one in the chat from Paul B. asking, do you know if GTR have an internal group working on this and who the contact is that you might be speaking to?
I don't know, Alan, if you've contacted GTR yet.
Contacted through the various industry sort of groups, most train operators, and some on a one-to-one basis. I can't remember offhand if anyone from GTR has put their hand forward as a sort of Railway 200 champion, but I'm sure they will be. And I can share perhaps once we've convened the first meeting, we can then share the list of those that have put their hands up within each organisation, so you've got a point of contact rather than having to sort of find your way around your local train operator.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful, Alan. So thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, sorry, Emma. Sorry.
I was just going to say, is I know that we'll have through Network Rail's Sussex route. We are talking to them because I know Bluebell Railway want to do a big event at their site in sort of June to August time. And we're trying to, work with Network Rail and GTR to support that in a bigger way. So they should be aware of Railway 200, but like we can sort of ensure that they sort of reach out to the partnerships. And I think they will start doing that.
Okay,
Sorry,
thanks.
just in the
Thanks,
chat.
Emma. Andrew, have you got a question?
No, it's just to say that I'm representing GTR on the call, and we will be getting a group together, and we'll be liaising with station partners and CRPs to
Thank you, Andrew.
forward a
That's
plan
great.
and come up with ideas. We very much appreciate lots and lots of ideas from our partners.
Super, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody?
I've got a question, Sarah, but could I just add to something that Emma mentioned before to say that we are talking with the Museums Association and the Association of Independent Museums as well to raise the Railway 200 banner there, because I think it's quite important that this is one opportunity we've got, because everyone will have heard, if we've done our job correctly, of Railway 200. So when you open a door to them, they'll go, not what's Railway 200, they'll have an idea of what it is expected of them. But I think this is an ideal time, a bicentenary, to shine a light on those local railway collections in museums, which probably don't get viewed very often and certainly don't get very much publicity, because there's some wonderful railway stories in there. And where you are in your roles, you're in the perfect position to be able to go and tap into that. But as I say, the important thing is that through the Museums Association and the Independent Museums Association, they will be expecting you. So just to make that point.
Just to follow on from that with Mike, I mean, I've been talking to GWR, who obviously have, I think, 6 or 7 museums railway related on their route, and they are already starting to engage with them. And I think next week I'm due to talk to Derby Museum. Obviously, Derby is the new home of railways through the local train operators. So there's loads, as Mike says, loads of potential for various museums and civic groups to get involved in one way or another.
Thanks, Alan. Have we got any more questions? Is there anything in the chat? It's just I can just see a sea of the name.
Andy Buckley have asked if we'll have regular updates such as this group in future.
Emma has kindly agreed that she will absolutely come and talk to us again. I think that's right, isn't it, Emma? Now you can't say no, even if the answer was no, because I've said that you will. But I think we did agree that before.
Yeah, I said to Sarah straight from the outset that, I'm happy to make these as regular as we need to. It's an important way and an easy way for us to be able to sort of coordinate and communicate with you as a collective and share that information. We want you to feel part of it and have all the information, and I'm very happy to join and do these on a more regular basis as and when you need them. I can work with Sarah on what that looks like.
That's great. Thank you, Emma. Any other questions, anybody? Oh, that seems great. I'm giving everyone 20 minutes back on a bank holiday weekend, which is good. It was obviously very comprehensive, Emma, so thank you. And thanks to everyone who's come along. If you've got any, we'll share the slides, but if anyone's got any questions, needs support, wants to talk ideas through, then please come through to myself, Alice, Erin or Rob within our team, or your support and development contact as well. But we're here to help and support you in whatever way we can over the next coming months and years. So thank you, everyone, and happy bank holiday weekend to everyone. And thank you to Emma and the team. It was really, really helpful. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks very much.
Happy
Bye.
weekend.